bit in between, so you don't have to sit and listen to me ramble on for 45 minutes. You'll get straight from the horse's mouth from people who are actually doing it and giving you some examples of what they do. So a little bit of background here. Why use the results plus method? Well, mainly because it works. And many successful USANA leaders and industry leaders as well use these types of things successfully, and they get results. That's the big thing for us. I like this method because I think it's going to open up some new possibilities for you as well and really accelerate your growth in this time when that's exactly what we're trying to do, is accelerate out of that situation that we've been in for a few months. But it's slightly different, and you'll see some of the things here are what we might call a little more indirect way of approaching and having a conversation with someone. So it's a little bit softer, and so you might see something a little bit different here. If you do, fine, and if you want to adopt that, I hope you do. But I think what you'll find is with this results plus method, the reason we like it is that you don't have to have you hopefully will not have to have as many touch points in the process of enrolling someone. You move them quickly into a discussion, and then hopefully you've got a better chance of bringing them in to become an associate or a PC. I can see Claire nodding there. Thank you, Claire. Appreciate that. Last proviso I'd give you is to say, think about the language that you use. We've been talking a lot about this in our think tank group. And the more nowadays we see language is so important. Everything, even those little words, what we say, talking about things like network marketing or commissions or placements in the tree, those are things that we understand, but our new prospects don't know what that means. And to some of them, it's really scary. So saying things like earning a little bit of extra money or having the opportunity to try some products and being able to order them yourselves are much more relevant to them and the experience. And it's much more about what they need. So think of the conversation and the words that you use in your meetings and in your meetings with prospects and how you use those words. That's very important. And the biggest reason for using this method and why we recommend it is that it's something that you can jump into quickly. And particularly your new associates, you don't have to be a Rhodes Scholar to jump in and share some products with people and then have a conversation. So people can dip their toe into this really quickly, their big toe, which is so important now at this time when we've got the wonderful Business Accelerator bonus behind us. Okay, how the Results Plus method works, a little bit more background, and then we'll jump into the steps. So this is all about finding the right fit for your prospect. And we do that by asking the right questions. We know that the questions are the answers. We've heard that many times when we're in a sales situation. Questions are the answers. So we obviously want to encourage people to become an associate, but we want them to make the choice. And that's what this is all about. This little illustration is something interesting, and we've called this the Results Plus filter. And if you look from left to right there, you can see that we're putting our prospects and guests here. We're running through a little filter where we ask questions before we move them to an associate or a PC. It's a really simple way of finding out who is an associate and who is a PC, instead of pushing them straight into one of those boxes because we want them to, or because we want to, for whatever reason, get them in there. Much better for us to find out what they need first of all. So we use that little filter by asking them questions like, are you a referrer type person who will share with others? If they say, yeah, I am actually, okay, well, I think you'd be able to, you'd make a great associate. You'd probably go really well in this business. Let's continue that conversation. So being able to qualify someone in the early stages is really important. This method, the reason I like it the best is obviously it's all about retention. We talk about retention happening later on in the process, don't we? Often we say, retention's about following up with people and it's about making sure that you engage with your team and train them well and do this, then they'll stay in longer. Well, actually, retention starts right at the beginning, right at the point when we meet them, right at the point where we ask questions and find out what they need. That's how we can retain them better, by understanding more about and putting them in that right box. Are they an associate or a PC? If we understand that if we get them into that right place right from the beginning, they're going to stay longer because they'll be in a place where they're comfortable being and where they know this is why I joined USANA. This is why I joined the business. So good retention is all about how you enroll, because your newbies, I love that word, will all find their correct fit in the business. That's a really important one. Okay, so let's start going through the steps, and I'm going to step through the first 3 or 4, and then I'm going to ask my co-conspirators to come on and give you a bit of information from them. Okay, so let's go through the steps. First of all, understanding why sponsoring associates as well as PCs is vital to your success in USANA. So why are associates so important? Well, associates multiply. They duplicate themselves, but PCs do not. PCs are wonderful to have, and they're the vital part of starting our business, and they're our product sharers, but they do not create more associates or PCs. They might give you a referral, but associates are the ones that build your business and help you to build your business. I like to use a metaphor here that if you think about if you think that enrolling associates was a game, and you've got points for enrolling associates and PCs, you get 1,000 points in a fictitious game for enrolling associate, but you'd only get 100 for organising a PC. So a PC is worth a lot to you, but an associate is worth 10 times more. Now, that doesn't mean that you want to immediately sign people up as an associate, but it means that your end goal is to make sure that you have associates in your business as well as PCs. That's really critical. Okay, number 2, understand why your strategy should always be to encourage prospects to enroll as an associate. Now, I've underlined that there. And the reason we say that is because encouraging prospects is what we're all about. We don't want to force them to be an associate, but we want to encourage them. We want to explain to them. That means we want to sell them. Why did we join as an associate? Think of that. Think of why you joined for whatever reason. And think about when you share the USANA, people join because they love the products, or they join because they want to meet people, or they join because they want to be part of the USANA Foundation. So we want to find out why they would want to become an associate, and then encourage them towards that before we move them across into the PC region. This is a big point as well to remember. Never enroll a prospect as an associate because you want them to be an associate. I think I've made that point already. You guide them to make the choice that's right for them. The third step is to understand that if you determine your prospect is not quite ready to enroll, well, obviously, then we want to encourage them to be a PC. I think too many times, often I see people signing up associates, and if they don't sign up as an associate, it's like, well, okay, I'm not interested in them. Well, that's not how it works. Our focus is on sharing USANA products. That's the foundation of what we do, and ensuring that we connect people with the product to build more customers. And some of those will want to be associates. But it's really critical that we try to understand that the PCs are so important to us. Building that customer base and building that USANA community is really important. Step 4 is about getting to know your prospects. And this happens in the whole journey, right from the start to the finish. And it's all about establishing a relationship with your prospect right from the beginning, building rapport and determining their needs. If I could write needs in 60-point type and put it all the way across this presentation, I would. It's all about happening to them. Our old boss in a company I used to work in said that you'll never get what you want until you find out what they want. And that's so true. Okay, I'm going to take a breather for a minute and ask Rachel to jump in. Rachel, just check your audio so that I can hear you. Are you there, Rachel?
Yeah, I'm here.
Fantastic. We can hear you well. I'm just going to stop my share at the moment, Rachel, so we can see you as well. Oh, I can see everybody now. Hi, everyone. Hi, Carol Barrett from Queensland. It's lovely to see everyone there. Rachel, tell us a little bit about how do you get to know your prospects? What's the process there as you move them through that we talked about this in a lot of our training, didn't we? But talk about that, how you get to know your prospects. Take about 3 or 4 minutes and share that with the group if you would.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff. Look, I just wanted to share with you a specific story of my neighbour, who's also a police officer, and how I got to know her, and the process of how I signed her up in the category that she decided to sign up as a business associate, as a BC. So I've moved into this new area and a new house, into this new community. And my neighbor, I know that she's taken a year or 2 year of sabbatical from work. And so I wanted to get to know her. And so I made a time to go over next door to visit her. And of course, I brought along, I wanted to bring along a gift. So, what other gift than to bring along the USANA health pack, which I just split out from the 5-day reset, a small little health pack, and little bibs and bobs from the USANA. So, I brought along this USANA gift pack to her and just wanted to get to know her and see how she was from this sabbatical year. And so when I brought over the USANA health pack, we obviously talked about, her situation, and then got to know her a little bit. But she then asked me what this health pack was. So that was a great opportunity for me to share how I benefited from using the USANA product, and obviously how it helped me. And then I stopped there. And obviously, I shared about how great the product was, a world class product, and how it differentiated from other supplement brands. So, from there, she then shared with me that she was already taking some other products, and she was actually having trouble renewing her membership with another direct selling supplement brand that she wanted to purchase. And she thought that was a great opportunity to try this product. And she asked me the difference between, she opened up her whole pantry and showed me the current supplements that she had and what difference was those products to this USANA product. So it was a good opportunity to kind of share and told her the difference. And then obviously after that we just left it at that, and then I started to talk about other things, her life and what direction she wanted to go to. And she did share with me that she was looking for a direct selling marketing a company to enroll and start a business from there. And so that was a great opportunity to talk to her and build relationship from there. And obviously, I didn't talk about anything else about the business on that first appointment with her, but just talk to her about her life and just build that relationship first. Then, after the week, I follow up with her and how she used the product, and she was so blown away by the USANA Health Pack just over 5 days of how amazing it was. She rang me up and wanted to know how to order more of those products. So from there, I had the opportunity to share with her the difference between a business center and a customer a pack. And then she opted to go for the business center because she had an opportunity to start the business and to have a better value for money product set. And from there, we worked on our business, and she started jumping on our 28-day Be Healthy, and was one of our business personal trainers. And also shared this product with all her friends and the people that she met, her best friend, the builder that built her house. And then that's when we started to work together in this way. So that's my little sharing on how I build relationship and then bring the business along with it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rachel. That was fantastic. Really interesting story. I've met Rachel's neighbour, the police lady, and it was very interesting to catch up with her. And she's got an interesting story as well, hasn't she, Rachel? So, yeah. Thank you very much for sharing that. Okay, let's keep going. So we'll move on to step 5. Boy, this is a biggie for enrolling. Finding prospects by actively engaging in results-oriented activities. Those 3 words are enormous. What do we mean by that? Results-oriented activities. Let me give you some examples. And we work together as a team to kind of come up with probably 6 of the hottest ones, and you've got some yourself. But obviously, making and reviewing your list, this has been something that's just been so critical for years and years and years, and it hasn't changed. So making your list and reviewing it every day. And right now, now is the time to do that. If you haven't looked down your list, revisit your list and have another look through it. That's the first part of this. But then looking at some of these activities, engaging one-on-one with your contacts. I think now that we've moved out of being in lockdown, We need to get out there again and start meeting with people in coffee shops, one-on-one. I know a lot of people have really found it challenging to engage with prospects online, and it is. It's hard to have that face if you don't have that face-to-face connection. Three-way calls, ABCs, Celavive experiences I've talked about, that's so critical. Hold a sip and scrub, or this is my little name, a mask and bask. I like that one. Uh, Themed gatherings, mask and meditation. Have a little vitamin shelf makeover with your friends. That means go in and do a little call with them and have a look and see what they've got on their vitamin shelf and see if you can do a little makeover. And of course, samples. Having samples, giving people a Celavive mask to try or a little health pack sachet to try is a golden opportunity to create or is an activity that creates the opportunity for you to have a discussion with someone about joining as an associate or a PC. So those are some examples. There's a whole lot more, and you'll see some. Here's another list of different things that you can do. I won't go into all the detail now for time, but there's lots of ways that you can engage. But the biggest thing is you need to engage. You've got to go out now. You've got to go through your list, start calling people, emailing, posting online, whatever it is that you can do to create that connection with people so that you can have the opportunity to be sitting with them and leading to a discussion around joining as a PC or an associate. One of the best ways that you can do it is by engaging them in a product conversation right from the outset. Now, Claire Wu does this really well, and I'm going to ask Claire to come on now and talk about some of those results-oriented activities. And again, Claire, take 3 or 4 minutes and take us through some of the things that you do and what works really well for you. Okay? Claire, over to you.
Thank you, Jeff. Can you hear me? Is that my sounds okay?
Yes, we can. Yeah, it's great.
Awesome. I couldn't agree more with Jeff. And as we always say, the secret of success in USANA is finding the right people and doing the right thing, right? And therefore, I always believe that result-oriented activity are the right thing to do. And really, we should spend 80% of our time on this activity. And normally, I book myself to 3-way calls, one-on-one presentation, as many as possible in order to get the results. And I believe that's what you guys are already doing, right? And what I do is because USANA, New Zealand is already clear for the COVID-19, and I have booking myself like almost every day with my little Celavive pack to my friends' home to visit them. Like if they invite me over for like afternoon tea or morning tea, and I'll ask them like, would you like to experience some skincare products for girls? It's always a yes. So I just bring my little kids and then go there and then we'll show them what I do, and that's what I always do. And the other things I want to share today is my Celavive experience with you is as I find it is such an effective activity to get the results. And you guys know how much I love Celavive, and I can't stop sharing my story with people that I know. However, I believe most ladies would agree with me that it takes more than professional names, numbers, story to convince us to try new skincare product brand. Therefore, we want to give them the real experience of Celavive, the story that they can smell, they can touch, they can feel. And that is when we start our Celavive experience. We do it once a week, and it's start getting back to normal from this week. And we host a Celavive experience in our USANA office in Auckland. And the company even provides the guideline and checklist to make it easy for us to get it started. And you can find all this information from her. And we will invite prospects to attend and try our products. And we also show them like the official video clip that we can all find from the YouTube channel that developed by USANA, as well as before and after photos and testimonial from teams. And we have really improved lots of people's skin in our team. So they have amazing story to share with the prospect. And we receive lots of good feedback of Celavive experience. And we have been able to sign up either PC or associates by hosting this activity. And I really want to take a minute to thank our management team that we can hire one of the rooms in the office so that we can even give our prospect an office tour so that they have a very good impressions of our brand. And as we know, we have great office in Sydney. We have like nice laid out office in Auckland. So we should just utilize it and to host our celebrity experiences over in the office. And also our client can easily pick up the product on their way out so that they can use that straight away at that same in the night, and so they don't have to wait and come back when the product's ready. And I found it is very convenient for them.
Wonderful. Thank you, Claire. That's fantastic. And Claire has been having some great success. I went over, in fact, Claire and I talked about this some months ago, and I think I suggested to her when we were at the Leadership Summit in Cairns and said, Claire, you know, what about doing some Tel Aviv experiences? And a couple of months later, when I went to Auckland, she said, I've been doing those experiences, Jeff, and they're going really well. Yeah. She told me all about it. So she's inviting people into the office. She sets up a session, and you do that, in about, it's only a 1 hour, 45 minutes, Claire, is it?
Yeah. I will open up for 1.5 hours, but each session might only take 20 minutes. So for people they are late or they couldn't commit it at the same time, then we can do a different slot, but I host it at the same day. Yeah.
But it's working really nice. And you don't have to do it in the office. You can do it at home if you are near the office, and you can do it. In Sydney, we're opening up the office from next week for groups of 2. And hopefully we'll get to more as soon as possible. But, you know, bringing someone in and giving them a Tel Aviv experience on the spot, you can either do it at your home, in the office, online. What Claire does in the Auckland office is she brings people in, does the demonstration, and then they place their order on the spot. They get their product straight away, and out they go. It's great. Terrific, Claire. Well done on that. That's really great. I love that one. Okay, let's move on. So we've got a few more steps to go through. So step 6 at each activity, obviously, introduce USANA products. That's what we're here for. And share your strategic story. So you might be thinking, what does that mean, strategic? Well, again, here we're talking about understanding what it is that other people need and what they want. And so your story should be always geared to, when I talked before about, understanding what people need. Well, if Claire is there and she's talking to Rachel and trying to explain to her a little bit about USANA or the products or whatever, and if Claire knows that Rachel is a mum of 2 kids like Claire, she can say, well, I'm a mum like you. And so, I've been through this, or, Rachel is a dental hygienist, for example. And so, if I know that beforehand, I can say, oh, Rachel, that's funny. I've got I've got another friend who's a hygienist, and she does USANA 1 day a week, or Rachel does 2 days a week. And so, having that understanding of what your prospects need gives you an opportunity to strategically align your story and to add little bits and pieces that make them relate to what your story is much more. So that's why it's important to know what their needs are. Okay, we're coming back and we're going to hear a little bit more from Rach now. Rach, let's have you come on and tell a little bit about your story and how you talk about how you might mold that a little bit when you share your story as you go along with your prospects.
I'll share a real life scenario. So right before the COVID-19 lockdown, I'd attended my last wedding for this year, a friend's wedding from university. And next to me was seated a stranger who was assigned next to my seat. And I asked her about her, and she told me that she was a nurse, and she was actually the bride's housemaid at one stage. And often we talk about how did you get to know the bride, and then how did you get to know her. So those were the conversations that started out with. And so I asked her, obviously, and then I asked her, oh, okay, you're a nurse. So what are you doing? And we talked about what does she want to do in her career. And so she actually shared with me that she had been in the nursing industry for quite a while now, and she didn't see her taking over the next role, which was a nursing unit manager, where you had to study a couple more years, had more experience, and then get an income that was totally incomparable to the amount of effort you had to put in, and the role was quite scarce. It was like one unit manager among a lot of people. And she then shared with me that she was very inspired by her friends in her home country, in Indonesia. And a lot of her friends were entrepreneur friends, and they had their own business in doing little things and little things like that, different products. And they had a life that she desired, and she wanted life like that. So then I started to share with her my story, and my strategic story was I shared with her that I'm also an oral health therapist, same science background, and I'd also been working for 10 years. And in fact, when I was little, my dad told me that to be successful, I have to own my own business. So I did that at age 16 and have been doing that all through my high school, university, working life, professional life, part-time work, and up till now. And the most highlighted, outstanding business that I'm doing right now is this business where it's totally different from traditional business because of the fact that you can leverage this business with other team members, and also the fact of the scalability of this business, in contrast to the linearity of traditional business or traditional career and work. And so I finished that 2-minute story, and that was my 2-minute story towards her. And she was very, very interested, and also very, very opened her eyes to what was possible. And so throughout the night, obviously, we did what all wedding guests would do, eat, drink, and, all the party kind of things, and build that relationship from there. So from after that, I talked about, our life, but I didn't go too deep on the business at all, but left our contact numbers and made a time for us to meet. Obviously, before that, I invited her to my team event, which was still there, current, but obviously COVID-19 happened. So in the end, the result was I had done an ABC, or three-way conversation, with my mentor, with her recently, and we signed her up to a business center. So that was my strategic story. Thank you.
Well done, Rachel. Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's great. And a good strategic story it was. So you can see how important it is to align and think about what you're doing. It comes back to listening a lot, I think. We'll talk. I'm a terrible talker, chat. And just to stop and open your ears up and listen is the key to really building relationships. Okay, let's look at number 7. This is really interesting. A lovely little phrase here. Sprinkle some USANA magic dust. What do we mean by that? Well, again, this is about always referencing this back to your prospect's needs. But before you get into your activity, and Rachel just talked about the process that she went when she was telling her story. But as you build your relationship with your prospect, you're always dropping some little hints, giving some little conversations, asking some questions. And what that does is it helps you to be able to have a much richer conversation when you get to the point where you are going to classify or qualify that person, help them to make a decision as to whether they want to be an associate or a PC. But if you've sprinkled that little magic dust along the way, then you've made it a lot easier for you to have that conversation when you get to that point. It's kind of like sprinkling the little crumbs like Hansel and Gretel did, if they were the ones that did it, when they put the little crumbs so they could find their way back. So what you're doing with the magic dust is that you're laying out a pathway for people to be able to follow, and for you to be able to follow, that you can relate to in that conversation. Okay, now we're getting to the most important moment in the whole sponsoring process. So you can see we've used blue text here because it's really important, obviously. So I've said here at the close of the activity, ask the magic question. Okay, so we don't necessarily want to give people options at this stage. We are going to, but we give them options by asking them questions and qualifying them as a PC or an associate, and lead them through the next steps. And as you see there, we say, do that today. So on the day that you're having the activity, you would try and encourage them to make a decision about what they want to do. Not everyone's going to on the day, but if you can encourage them by talking through the process, then you should be able to move them into that space. So let's have a look at how that conversation might go. And I'm going to give you some example of some wording that works, okay? So we know from our group and the people we've talked to that this system works, and it works really well. But you may have some slightly different wording. Don't take us for 100% on this. You do what works for you, but try some of this type of wording, but do it in your own words. That's really important. So here's an example. So when you're having that conversation with someone, after you've introduced them to the products, you might say something like, hey, before I show you how to connect with the product, can I just ask you, would you be open to sharing the products with others? And see what they say. Now, generally, a lot of people say, yeah, actually, I would. I am that sort of person. Great. Let me show you how you can maybe earn some extra money to pay for your USANA products and also get some extra me money. Would you be open to that? So that you can see by asking, just simply by asking a question, you've already moved them towards the associate box instead of forcing them to go that way. If they say no to that question, you can say, fine, that's all good. Let's set you up with your own accounts because you've said you're interested in the products. I can see that you're really engaged and you love that scrub or that mask or that Biomega. Let's get you set up so you can have your own account and you can order the products and get your discount. Let's do that today. Now, of course, we know, and in our discussions, in fact, when we were having this discussion, Claire said, well, I don't always get a yes or a no. Sometimes I get a, what do you mean? Or a, it's often the reality is that not everyone says yes or no. So that's the point where you can ask some more questions, and you can. And if they say, what do you mean by that? What do you mean? Am I a sharer? Well, are you the sort of person that refers products and services to others? So I would say that if I was in that situation, I'd say, are you the kind of person who shares things on TripAdvisor? Do you jump on there and do a review of something? Are you that sort of person? And they might say, yeah, I am actually. You say, well, if you did that with your USANA, you're sharing an experience that you've had with a product, and you're sharing that with a community because you really like that hotel that you stayed in or that restaurant that you went to. So by sharing that information and them demonstrating that they're comfortable to do that leads to a further conversation where you can say, well, if you'd like to do that, I can show you how you can get your products and your products can be paid for, or you can earn a bit of extra money. So you kind of move them through that process. So you keep trying, keep asking those questions. So, that conversation that we've just taken you through is summarized by getting to know them, sharing about yourself personally, share your short story strategically, share about the company and the product, chat about their product needs. Look at these words that we're using: share, chat, nice, friendly, simple things, not too scary. Find out what they want to order. Ask the magic question. Are you a referrer type of person? Are you the sort of person that does this? And again, you may have different words and different questions to ask, but if you're having a conversation and asking questions, you're not telling them what to do. You're asking them what they want to do. Very critical. Move them to an associate or PC based on the response you had. If they say yes, you can set them up that day as an associate and then follow them up within 24 hours. If no, set them up that day as a PC. That's the process. Okay, so we're going to ask Claire to jump in again. Claire, we're doing quite well for time. So again, take about 3 minutes and share with everyone. This is really what we say, the rubber hits the road right at this point, doesn't it? And this is where everything happens. Now, we know that it might take a little bit more time, but what do you do? How do you encourage an associate to make that decision to become a PC or an associate?
Thanks, Jeff. So we have 10 steps today, and it's step number 8. So congratulations, we're almost there. And we have done everything right, but it's not the end of the conversation. The purpose of the result-oriented activity is to close the deal, right? So the last thing we want it to happen is what we have given out all the information and reason why the prospect needs the product, but don't close the deal, which is the most important step, as Jeff have already mentioned, of the whole process. And if the client are convinced by you, it's only logical to make the purchase. So because if we miss the opportunity to ask, it will make our next follow-up step very, very difficult. And they will feel they have already got what they need to know, and there is nothing new you can offer, or you are desperate and only wanting to sell them something. Therefore, what I do is we call it assumptive closure. I don't even ask whether they want to buy, but assuming they have already decided to buy. Instead, I always ask, if you have a good experience of our product, would you be happy to share it with your family and friends or the people that you care to improve their health or skin conditions? And guess what? Like 90% of people that I ask, they will say, yes, and I would like to share to help people. Then I will say, oh, that's fantastic. You seems a very, it seems to be a very caring person. It's very kind of you. And what would you say if you can be even compensated by helping other people? Would you love the idea? And how many people do you think they will say no thanks? I think nobody, right? So some of them may ask, what do you mean? And then you say, while we're helping people to improve their health, we have in fact help company to move products. So people like you and me will always do that anyway, just like we recommend a good cafe restaurant to our friends. But the difference is that the cafe and restaurant might thanks us for recommending them, but there's no way they paid us. But in USANA, we get paid. And yes, you heard it right. We are paid for doing the right things. Would you love it? And then, you would sign them up as an associate. What about 10% of people who are not really sharing person? Then what I will say is, I see, not a problem. One of the things I love USANA is that why I can be a happy customer who enjoy the best quality product, I can also enjoy up to 20% off the retail price. Let me show you how you can do the same. So that's my story of direct them to as an associate for the PC. Thanks, Jeff.
Wonderful. Thank you, Claire. That's great. And Claire's got some lovely little tips. Another one that she does, if you follow Claire on Facebook, if you don't, I would encourage you to do it. She shared a picture on the weekend of the boot camp they do. And Claire and Wayne organise a get-together with friends and say, hey, we're having a little boot camp. Bring your kids. We're going up on the hill and we're going to do a walk or do a bit of exercise. And it's a nice way to meet people and have a little bit of a discussion. It's again another results-oriented activity. You're looking to get some results from that. So what we talked about there is bringing people along on the journey and moving them up to this point where on the day we can qualify them as an associate or a PC. And that's everything that we've just taken you through leads you to that point where you can help them to make that decision. Do I want to be an associate or do I see myself as a PC? And you enroll them and set up your next appointment for within 24 hours. So the whole idea of this process is that you're not trying to follow, I'll call you up in a week, I'm going to follow you up tomorrow, I'm going to do this, it's like getting them on board today. My dad was a great salesman and very confident in himself. And he used to say, always ask for the order. And you mentioned that before, Claire, as well. Don't be afraid to ask for the order. Do it in a nice way, do it in a subtle way. But at some point, we have to close the deal. We've got to do it. And so asking for the order is a metaphor for qualifying them and not being afraid to ask them those questions. Are you a referrer? Are you interested? I see you love those products. How can I get you on to being a PC? Okay, the ninth step, and there's two parts to it, is on what we call onboarding. So as I said before, you've taken that person down the path. You've shown them what they want to do. They've shown their interest in becoming an associate. And within 24 hours, we suggest that you then that on the day that you have the activity, if you've met them on a Cell Vive, then Claire would say to them, or Rach would say to them, hey, I'm going to follow up with you. Is it okay if we catch up tomorrow for a coffee? I want to get you started. Or can we do a Zoom call tomorrow afternoon? So, but book it in on the day that within 24 hours, you're going to make contact with them. If they're coming as an associate, you're going to help them with their list. You're going to help them to get onto social media and set up their page. And you're going to have an intro to encourage them to have an intro to USANA with a small group of their friends. Claire works through the Getting Started program with them particularly and gets them on that journey, and which I'm very happy about, and gets them moving in that direction as well, which is great. Get them sharing the products quickly. That's the main thing. We don't want them to spend, as you guys know, many of us can spend a lot of time. This training is really important, but if we spend all our time in training and not doing, we're not going to grow in the business. So I really encourage you all to get out there and start sharing the products as quickly as possible. And then if they've joined as a PC, again, you've in that Celavive experience, they've said, I want the products. You've sent them home with their products. You sign them up on the spot. You show them how to make their own, that they can place their own order. So book in a time to sit with them and teach them how to log in and navigate their PC account. A particularly good point here was to make sure that you get them to navigate in it while you're sitting next to them, or whether you do it online on a shared screen. You know, telling people something one thing, but you can't learn to drive a car by people telling you how to drive a car. You've got to sit next to them while they're driving and doing it. It's the same thing with USANA becoming an associate or a PC. You've got to sit with them as they jump up in front of people, as they go onto a three-way call, as they jump there and try to navigate and get onto their account. Encourage them to have a few friends over. Why not ask and start that process right away? Hey, you've told me that, you know, you love the product. Would you like to have a few friends and get them together? Or let's do a little mask and bask online or something like that. I'm really pushing my mask and bask. And the final step is practice, repeat, and teach. Okay, start sharing as quickly as you can, as I've said. So I got up very early this morning, you might not know that, and practiced this presentation, you know, a couple of times. And we've been doing it for the last week as a group together and getting better to understand what we've created here. And in the same way, you can do the same thing with your presentation. You know, we know that we have a wonderful lady in USANA, Deborah Wu, who many of you know, who's a senior corporate member. And it's well known that she practices her presentation 60 times before she goes on stage. 60 times. She's pretty good. By the time she gets on, she's really polished. I'm not suggesting you practice it 60 times, but if you're going out and meeting people, you know, that's the practice that you can get by going out and sharing USANA and getting in front of a group of people. By all means, have a couple of practices first. Don't jump straight in. But really quickly, you want to move your new people into a situation when they can start sharing and giving it a red hot go. That's what we talk about. Okay, so let's talk about giving it a red hot go. We've got about 10 minutes left, guys. So I'm going to ask Rachel and Claire to both share a little bit about when they started to give it a red hot go for the first time, when they started to move through that process and get to that point where they actually signed someone up. So Rachel, let's start with you and take 3 minutes.
And he also knows what I want to eat every day at the same time. And so one day when I was having my my lunch at the cafe, I noticed that he was actually on his computer looking at stocks. And we often have a conversation about what's a good pick for the week. And when I started my USANA business, obviously, when I got up from my chair and I went over to him and I said, Richard, can you please have a look at this stock for me? It's American listed company and it's called USANA. And he goes, oh, USANA? This conversation changes into a conversation about USANA and his health. And so he says, USANA, I've heard about USANA. I've actually had USANA a long, long time ago, but the person that introduced me disappeared and I never had a chance to continue on this wonderful product. And so I knew that this was my opportunity to invite him on to a three-way conversation or an ABC meeting with my mentor, because I was really new at the time and had no idea about the products or at least anything about the compensation plan or whatever. And so I just shared about how USANA products has helped me in the time that I've taken it. And then I had edified my mentor how she'd helped me with my products and my health, and also how she knows she's been in the business for 8-9 years and she's helped so many other people achieve health through the products, and she knows a lot about the products. So I said, look, Richard, I know you close your shop at 5 o'clock. Why don't we make a time next Tuesday after you finish close the shop, and I'm going to link you up with my mentor. And how about that? What do you think about that? And he said, yeah, why not? So that was my first successful invitation, and that led to my first ABC or three-way conversation meeting presentation time. And so on that day, my mentor was with me, Anthony and Sasha and Mona. They were all really helpful. I must thank them for my first day, because without them, I wouldn't have done it so well. And obviously on the day, I'd learned a lot from the presentation, so that I can do my own presentations from then on. So on the meeting, Richard heard about the products and in a three-way conversation, and he had this hip issue, which was bothering him, and he wanted to be on the good supplements. So after explanation and the presentation, Richard successfully signed up to a business pack because it was a value pack again, and he could get his products. And then, so that was my first time. And so Richard was my first customer and has been on the product ever since, and still is now ordering on his auto order. But without that first opportunity to learn about how to present, he wouldn't have been in the business. So that was my first time.
Wonderful. Sounds like it wasn't too painful for you, Rachel. It was all right, because sometimes we know when you try something for the first time, it can be very difficult. But you did really well then to get him involved and to share. But you can see why that worked for Rachel. She was asking the questions. She wasn't afraid to ask the questions. She got to know Richard, and she then, continued the conversation, and she simply asked him a question. And that worked really well. Well done, Rachel. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, Claire, can we go on to you and talk about your first time and see how you went? Please share with us if you would.
Sure, Jeff. I would like to share my, because my first USANA story has been like more than 5 years ago. I don't think I remember. But I will share my first successful story with associate enrolled through self experience. Back to my topic. So I helped one of my teammates with her list of contact, and there's a girl called Jane, and on her list that she's really wants to invite to our team. And she's also on the picture that Jeff showed earlier. So that picture was taken in the first self experience that we host. And the reason that I keep doing that is because my first experience, I got successful and I got really good conversion rate. This is why I keep doing the things that works. And that's what we always do. And she's a full-time mom with 2 boys, only 2 years old. So trouble to age of kids, and we invite her over to our experience. And her husband is their only source of income in the family, and she's normally very busy with family stuff, and at the same time feeling tired and stuck in her own routine. I think that most of them full-time mom will feel the same. She wants to go out and make new friends, but don't know where to go. And like most girls, she loves beautiful skin, but also have skin problems such as acne. Therefore, I asked to invite her over and in the office to make some new friends and have some fun, as well as trying our Celavi product to improve her skin. And she's happily accepted the invitation. And in fact, she was so excited to have something out of her routine. And during the experience, she was impressive by the office tour, and love how it feels of the products, and surprised to hear the testimonial from my team members and see the before and after photos. And she was so sold to the product and can't wait to see how much it could improve her skin conditions. Then I asked her the magic question, like, honey, if you love the product, would you recommend it to ladies out there who need something to save their skin? And she had no hesitation and say, of course. Then I also discovered that she's actually doing some online retail sales as a casual business to support family. And therefore, the business presentation is nothing but naturally comes. She was so surprised how minimal cost to start the business and risk-free, as we don't have to stock, and also the potential that the business can grow into. Plus she can work anywhere, and anytime and living in a good lifestyle as part of the business. So no drama. She joined the business as an associate, and we introduced the Getting Start program to her the next day and duplicate the process again and again to help her qualify her PPPS. And she's now doing the Challenge 50, which is the trying to aim for 50 CVP for continue constantly 13 weeks. And so what we learn is whatever we learned today or before, we need to go out and use it. And now is the good time because we have the business accelerator bonus. It's going on for 4 weeks. So share with people and practice it and duplicate it to your team. And I'm sure we will have a very good coming quarter season for USANA. Thanks, Jeff.
Wonderful, Claire. That was great. I love your enthusiasm, and I love you both. You're amazing. So, Rachel and Claire, thank you so much for coming on and helping us out. That's the last slide, almost the last one. But I wanted to say right at the end, thank you, Claire and Rachel, for sharing so much. I'm sure we've had some lovely comments on here. I don't know if you guys have been able to see the chat. There's about 170 people on this call, and we've had some lovely comments and feedback. Thank you all for joining us so much. It's been great to share this with you. We are going to be doing some more trainings, and thank you for your lovely comments as well on there. We've had a lot of very nice accolades there for us, and I hope you enjoyed this training. We're going to continue to provide this throughout this month and also beyond that. But tomorrow, Jason Marr, our sales manager for Australia and New Zealand, and Lily Chen, a Diamond Director from New Zealand, will be doing this same training in Mandarin at 10:30 different time. Sorry, tomorrow it's 10:30 a.m. Australian time and 12:30 New Zealand time tomorrow. And you'll find that on the USANA pages, the links for that, the meeting ID and password. So please encourage your Mandarin-speaking friends if they'd like to jump on that. Then on Thursday this week, Bianca Cosentino, our sales director, will be doing this training again in English, and you'll get a notification around that. And then if you'd like me to, I will do some more trainings as well and invite some of our leaders to come in again, and we'll probably mix it up a little bit and have different people come on and share their experiences with you as we move along. So that's all I have for today, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the training. I hope I'm just going to stop the share so I can give you a wave and say goodbye. But thank you all very much for coming on. Really appreciate your time. Please jump into this with both feet and give it a go. It's all about getting out there, results-oriented activities, and giving it a red-hot go. And I know you'll do really well. So thank you all for coming on, and we'll see you again soon. Bye now. This is my favorite comment.